Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Shona Robison has many problems, not least of which her IQ. But she is supposedly be holding a budget in the next few days where she is going to announce massive cuts to services, massive hikes in tax, and to utterly destroy just about everything she touches. She has no option. She cannot see anything beyond the end of the tax base. She doesn't understand about growth, about the economy or anything like that. However, on top of this, there are certain areas where nobody should be making cuts, and indeed real terms investments must be made. There must be a real term rise. Anything that involves people, I would suggest, is where the money needs to go, and anything that involves independence is where the money needs to be cut from. One of these has been a low-level rumble for some time, and it's now coming to a head. And that is the case of the firefighters. And if anyone deserves a pay rise, it's them. Not just in terms of real-term money, but also to increase their numbers, the numbers of stations, of tender vehicles, everything. The resources need to be increased. This will cost, and Shona Robison literally hasn't got a clue on how to pay for it. And it's going to come to a head very soon. Let's have a look. So, Shona Robison in Last Chance Saloon, as Scottish firefighters warn of strikes in the new year. If there's one group you really don't want going on strike, it's the firemen. Because, you know, the work they do is astonishingly important. It's very brave people. I know they're well trained. They try not to take risks. But ultimately, they are the ones that run into a fiery building to save your children when no one else will. So the Fire Brigade Union says the SNP Finance Secretary must find more cash for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service in her budget next week on December the 19th. They said either that or they will face industrial action. And she hasn't got a clue, of course. She literally doesn't have a clue on where to find this money. There's already a massive budget black hole. They knew of the billion. And then, Kendall stands up there, the Brains Trust stands up there and announces a council tax freeze. That's got to be paid for. And they've announced an extra 300 million for the NHS. That's going to be paid for. They've all these things that they've promised and that are quite incapable of delivering, it must be said, at a time when they literally don't know where the money is coming from. The only thing they can do is put the taxes up. And that, of course, will drive people out of the tax system. People will move businesses south of the border and things like that because, she doesn't understand the implications of what she does. I mean, meanwhile, the Westminster government have given Scotland billions, untold billions, that they, the SNP government, have salted away. Nobody knows where it is. It's criminal. Billions don't just go missing, and yet here we are. Billions have gone missing. All the money meant for businesses, for example, the Business Rates Relief Fund. Where's that gone? The businesses didn't get it. Billions of pounds. What about the agricultural subsidies? Where did that? Did that go to the farmers? No. Billions disappeared. Probably into private little banks dotted all around the world in countries that don't have extradition treaties. Because that, I think, is what's going to happen when this final Third Reich falls apart. Anyway, Finance Secretary Shona Robison has been warned that she is in the Last Chance Saloon and that firefighters could take action in the new year unless more cash is found for the service in the upcoming Scottish budget. The Fire Brigade Union has insisted that the situation with the SNP government funding for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service is now critical and cannot be ignored. The trouble is she'll probably throw some money at it. Oh yeah, look, we'll give you an extra X, whatever it'll be. But it won't be real terms increase. It'll be below the rate of inflation, therefore another cut. John Mackenzie, the FBU Scottish Secretary, has now urged Miss Robison to use the budget on December the 19th to take urgent action to reverse what the union described as a decade of cuts that have resulted in the loss of over 1,200 jobs and the withdrawal of frontline fire appliances and a huge backlogs of repairs and maintenance to fire stations. Mackenzie said, "The situation is critical. It cannot be ignored. The Finance Secretary is in the Last Chance Saloon. Shona Robison must provide a significant increase in the budget for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. if we are to avoid a strike action in 2024. Our members are not prepared to sit back and watch more jobs go and the service reduced to a shell through year-on-year cuts. Ever since the SNP came to power, budgets have been cut. They'll tell you, oh, we put more money in. But that money isn't keeping in line with inflation. It's therefore a real-term cut. Thus, 1,200 jobs, all those tenders, stations falling apart. Why? So that they can wank money away on independence. Because to them, pushing an independence dream which will never happen is more important than saving the lives of children in burning buildings. Literally, that's how they think. At a rally in October, FBU members gathered outside Holyrood to urge the government not to impose a flat cash allocation on the service in the forthcoming budget and to make more funding available. There, FBU Scotland Chairman Gus Sproul said the SFRS had cut more than 1,200 jobs since it was established in 2013. It's not that old. But again, it was another thing there where they took the different fire brigades from around the country and amalgamated them into one, so there was only one leader that they then can easily manipulate and control. But that means now that this one union can go on strike and utterly destroy them. And I don't support the idea of the strike by firefighters generally, but I like the idea of the threat of the strike for firefighters generally, because that may make them, well, it may concentrate their minds somewhat. The Chief Officer Ross Haggart also spoken out to highlight the ongoing financial challenges the service faces, adding that the difficult decisions will have to be made without investment. And of course, they don't know what can Shona Robison do? This is a woman, remember, like I say, an IQ of 86. She hasn't got an understanding of how to grow an economy. She doesn't understand priorities. She doesn't understand the Laffer curve, and that will be the thing that destroys them totally. When she puts the taxes up, and all the limited companies, those with wealth, go, yeah, out of here, and they go register everything in England, pay the taxes to the Westminster government, not the Scottish government. They're going, how come our tax base has fallen? We've put tax rates up. We should have got more money, because they're too stupid to understand. Haggart previously told MSPs at Holyrood that the fire service could have made to make savings, of between 14 and 26 million next year, which would see the withdrawal of 18 appliances, plus the closure of a station, plus all the men that go with them. It's a lot of loss just to break even. And then when there is a major event, there's nothing there. No one can come. Well, we've only got 3 fire engines for the whole of Inverness or something stupid like that. And they won't get there. By the time they get there, it's far, far too late. A Scottish Government spokesman said, and bullshitted, firefighters play a vital role in protecting our communities. Well, not that vital according to you, apparently, because you won't fund them. And the Scottish Fire and Rescue Services continue to deliver the high standard of services required to keep Scotland safe at a very expensive and difficult cost, a cost that can no longer be managed. And they say, look, we're going to give you, despite financial circumstances due to years of UK government austerity, got nothing to do with the UK government. Firefighting is entirely devolved. And if you want to use the money, where is the money that Westminster gave you? Stop lying, you two-faced lying liars. You thieving lying liars with all that money salted away. Billions. Where's the billions? He said, we're providing the fire service with more than 368 million this year, which is an increase of 14.4 million. Yes, but inflation is 10%. And therefore, the increase should be something like 37 million just to keep up with inflation. You're doing less than half that. So what you're saying is, we're cutting budgets this year. Do you not get it? Well, actually, either you're too stupid and you don't get it, in which case you shouldn't be in government, or you do get it and you're being evil and deliberately harming people by cutting the fire service, in which case you shouldn't be in government. But I'll leave you, good people, to decide whether they are as thick as that or they are as evil as that. There is obviously the third option, which is that they are both thick and evil. But hey, you takes your money and takes your choice. Anyway, I shall finish there, round off and come up, and we'll worry and see what happens to Shona next week. Hopefully, won't be long before she's out and she can go and do something more suitable for her intelligence. You know, she could be the chief plasticine monitor, the one that at the end of the lesson goes around and gathers it all, rolls it in little balls, puts it in the little store cupboard, waiting for the next class of infants to come and play with it. Because that's about it for her, isn't it? Coming up. So as I say, there are areas where you can cut stuff, and there's areas where you must never cut. And I say all the way through, anything involving human beings must never be cut. Ideas, let them go. Independence is never going to happen, and no matter how much money the SNP waste on it, hundreds of millions of pounds a year wasted, it will never ever happen, because people know how awful it is. They only have to look around and see what the SNP are doing, and then they are scared, because imagine a Scotland that is not protected by Westminster ultimately. Imagine a Scotland with a single party Marxist state, a Scotland where you have your rights removed, where you're locked into your areas, your 15-minute ghettos, where cars will be a thing of the past, where you'll be appointed your roles in society, because that's the plan for them, because they are an absolute Marxist state. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope this one has sort of enlightened you enough that you'll be aware now, and keep an eye out for Shona Robinson's budget next week and see how little they actually give to the fire service and the police and the ambulance and everything else. Except, of course, independence. That budget will increase. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and do hit the subscribe button. Bye.